At She Can, we lead with women's stories. We interview women from all over the world to hear their stories, to be role models for others. And I'm really excited to talk to Doryce Sher today. Doryce, you're the founder of the Aromatic Pharmacy. You're a pharmacist, you're a founder of the Aromatic Pharmacy, and you're one of South Africa's leading advocates on the use of complementary medicine, with a particular interest in aromatherapy. You create quality therapeutic products using nature's essential oils. And you're offering people something other than a pill to feel better. Tell us more about yourself.
Thank you, Stephanie. Honored to be here. So I grew up in Zimbabwe. So I had a lovely rural upbringing, and I studied pharmacy because my father thought it was a good profession for a woman, that she should always be able to support herself. And that is why I studied it, because he said, if you married and somebody looks after you, you can put away your own money. And if you ever need to support yourself, you have a qualification, which was excellent advice. And so I studied pharmacy not because I had a passion for pills, and and it was because I had the ability. And in third year pharmacy, because I really wasn't that interested, I failed third year chemistry. And here's lesson number one: when a failure isn't always the worst thing in life, because I did an optional course. I had to spend a whole year doing chemistry, and it was all about organic chemistry, which I didn't know would serve me later.
Mm.
And I did an optional course about drug dependence, in which it was explained that when you have a pain and you take a pill to stop the pain, all that happens is you prevent the message, but you don't help your body heal the pain or find out why.
Mm.
And also with sleeping tablets, if you can't sleep, you take a tablet, and then when you become dependent on it. So when I qualified, my father said, you will finish pharmacy, for the very reason I started it. And when I qualified, I worked in hospital, in retail, and I even bought my own pharmacy. And during that time, these questions at the back of my mind: why are there so many pain pills? Why are there so many sleeping pills? What is it all about? And eventually in 1991, which is 34 years ago, I sold my pharmacy and asked, what am I going to do with my life? And aromatherapy came into my mind. And I started an aromatherapy practice thinking I'm going to help one person at one time. And people came, and aromatherapy and stress are synonymous, or de-stressing, should I say. And people wanted to take the feeling home with them. And that's how I started making a bath oil, and thereon.
Doryce, so do you still see private clients?
I don't, unfortunately. I think that one day in my future I will return to it, because I didn't know that I was starting a business when I started making products.
Yeah.
And I can tell you more about how that developed into a business, because I think it's also got a lesson in there, in
Yes,
that
please.
I was doing treatments, seeing one person at one time. And then craft markets were starting to take on in South Africa in the 90s. And I started selling at craft markets, because I thought that the kind of person that comes to a market is already thinking slightly differently.
Mm.
And you can talk to them one on one, because it was very much, people didn't even know what the word aromatherapy meant in
Yeah.
1992 and 3 and 4. And it was also something that was entrepreneurial, which I didn't understand. And later on, in retrospect, it benefited my children, who used to come with me to markets. And at 12 years old, my son was selling products. So anyhow, the thing is that I could talk to people one on one, and they could take it home. And the first time somebody came back for an anti-stress bath oil, I knew I had a business. And yes, I needed to earn money, and this was a heartfelt way to go back to pharmacy. It felt incongruent. And I know it sounds cliched, but if you don't work in your area of passion, something in you dies. Well, that was what it was for me. So I had to believe in what I was selling. It's not just about making money, it's making money in the area where you feel, as Simon Sinek says, the why that makes you cry.
Yeah.
So for every person, I was saying, well, I need to go back to a story that one of the final straws was a woman who'd come into the pharmacy with her script for a sleeping tablet, antidepressant. And she said, my mother died and I just want to sleep. And my question to myself was, and when you wake up, your mother's still going to be dead and you're not going to have processed all that emotion, all that grief.
Mm.
How does your body then deal with it? Where does that grief live? And I instinctively knew that it lived in your cells and became illnesses. And just then to almost confirm, Louise Hay's book was taking on, and it was the beginning of the self-help revolution. And I can't help thinking that my journey was coinciding with the early take on of the idea that it's not all about drugs, which unfortunately has dominated in Western medicine. We have the message that there is a pill for every ill. And whenever I say this, I'm not against Big Pharma, but Big Pharma has to acknowledge the role that they've played in promising a cure for everything. And that's what people believe. There's a pill. If you go to a doctor and he doesn't give you a script and he says, look, rather go for a walk on the beachfront and take in some sunshine, the person's going to go to another doctor till they get their script. And that's all subliminal beliefs. So I started to develop the idea that people needed to feel better without necessarily swallowing another pill.
Mm.
And yes, Western medicine has done amazing things, but it's not everything. And even in what the products I make, I don't claim that any one thing does everything.
Yeah.
It's a combination of approach. But this way, with the products that are developed from bath oils to massage oils to various delivery forms, which I can tell you more about, people take their self-nurturing into their own hands. They do not hand their power over to a pill each time. So whether it's for stress, sleep, colds and sinus, it's part of self-care, part of taking personal responsibility.
And Doryce, I'm so grateful to chat to you today because I think that the world is changing. We do understand that we don't necessarily always have to swallow a pill and that there are other ways of doing it. And aromatherapy is one, and homeopathy and acupuncture, and you name it. So thankfully, these therapies are on the fore and really helping people feel better. I think we all know that we live in a world where we have a real crisis, right? And we know since the pandemic, especially, we have a mental health crisis. People are getting sicker rather than better. So I'm so thankful for each person that makes a difference here. Doryce, so what would you say is your main motivator? I can see the products behind you. Tell us a little bit more about your motivation and how you feel you're contributing with your products.
Thank you. So my main motivation is for people to think, and I've reiterated this a few times, to think, how can I feel better that is different from just swallowing a pill? How can I change the way I think? I do want to tell you that the aromatherapy works on the limbic system, a very deep part of our brain, which I've heard mentioned a lot in Eastern philosophies and Asian philosophies. And yes, definitely recognized in Western medicine as well. The limbic system is our primitive part of our brain. So it is the power of suggestion to our brain. That's why aromatherapy and stress are synonymous, because the limbic system is where the flight or fright response from, where we live with our cortisol and adrenaline because we're so tense, because we have to do things. And aromatherapy addresses that part of the brain, which helps us relax, helps us calm. And so I love that it works differently. It almost, you have a mini experience every time you use a product. And an experience is different from, okay, even if you're taking homeopathic or other natural medicines orally, there's a period between when you swallow it and it has an effect that you are waiting. And I feel that our products somehow fill that gap, that you can here and now smell, feel the experience of a product. So my job has been to listen to people. And I think that's one of the most powerful thing. Every single product has been developed in response to somebody wanting something to help with a different ailment.
Mm.
So the customers, people, my family have been the inspiration for each product. And I recently, the stress recipe has been around since 1992. So instead of sending somebody home with a bath oil, not everybody's got time to bath. Even a massage oil, people haven't got time to massage. So what I realized, what fires me is that it has to be convenient. It has to be ready. It has to be carryable with you, and it has to be able to be used instantly. So I use the concept of a mini roll-on or an inhaler for instant application
Mm.
with no messy hands, with not, you could use it before a meeting, before an interview, for a woman to send her child off to school with something like a little aromatherapy product as a stress reliever. That child certainly has a little bit of personal responsibility that they're feeling, a little bit of the mother's reassurance, and the smell is going to associate all that nurturing every time they use it.
Yeah, beautiful. Doryce, so what do you feel are the top qualities you have that really serve you in developing new products and selling your products and helping, supporting people on their journey?
I think resilience, resilience, and picking up on opportunities and going with instinct. I think that is what has served me well and what I would advise women on their journeys. When you have a feeling, I think that it's, or an instinct to do something, that is a knowing. We often get waylaid by asking others' opinions, and those dreams, those inspirations can get lost. And if I had listened to people, the naysayers, should I say, I wouldn't be where I am. The the courage to go where your truth lies, to go what makes people feel better, to go with helping the planet. The question supposed to ask, is this helpful or is it harmful? And your instinct will guide you towards helpful, I'm sure.
Mm.
And well, it has guided me. And the other thing is resilience. When a door slams shut, when there is a no, when I come up against people who, especially early on, who thought I was just doing quackery and poo-pooing, I'm hearing different attitudes 30 years later. As you said, the world is ready now.
Yeah.
But early on, it was hard to keep going against the naysayers. So resilience and seizing opportunities. There was nothing I haven't done. I have packed up boxes, done expos. I've stood at markets and got up at 4 in the morning to set up a market at 5. I think as the entrepreneur, one learns to do everything from the marketing to meeting CEOs to nothing. I don't feel above doing anything. I will sit and label bottles if I need to.
Yeah. Doryce, so what do you feel are the sort of main challenges that you face on your entrepreneurial journey?
I think that the main challenge is the big challenge of the brainwashing, if I can call it that, everybody has to take a pill. So people haven't yet, I mean, certainly a number of people have, otherwise I wouldn't have a business. But the early on takers have taken up the concept of something other than a drug to feel better. I feel that now it's ready for the masses, and the more people that are exposed to complementary medicine and complementary ways, massage, body stress release, talking, therapy, when people embrace those things and introduce our products as part of their well-being, part of their daily routines, instead of just swallowing a pill. I think that's my main challenge is education, awareness, and to be recognized by the medical profession. I will tell you that in South Africa, we have quite an advanced system. We've got an Allied Health Professions Council, which registers aromatherapists and reflexologists.
Mm.
And one of the few countries in the world that does that. And we have a complementary medicine division of our Medicines Control Council, our South African regulatory body for medicines. And so recently, actually, very recently, our business has acquired a pharmacy license with quality assurance. And I think that's important. I think just because it's natural, it doesn't mean it's safe. And also, one has to have a scout's honor that what we say the product will do, it does, and what we say is in the product is in there. So I do support moderate regulations, appropriate regulations, and that has been a big shift in getting pharmacies to stock our products because they accept, because we're still in that world. So I feel I'm bridging. There had to be a reason why my father suggested I do pharmacy, and I can't say he made me do it, but he strongly suggested that I do pharmacy because now it serves well. When people say, do the products really work? Often my answer is, I'm a pharmacist.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put my profession and reputation on the line. So the big challenge is acceptance by the majority.
Doryce, so what are your top sellers and what pills can you potentially forego by using your products?
Okay, so I do want to have a caveat that I'm not saying people should stop their drugs. I
No,
really
no,
am
I
not.
understand that. And you made
You
that really
can't miss,
clear.
yeah. So I think alongside Western medicine and all other modalities, my suggestion is, let's say you have cough and a cold. Why not use a sinus inhaler or we've got a cold and sinus roll-on that has got eucalyptus, tea tree, lavender, properly formulated. And instead of just going straight to an antihistamine, and you could probably take it later. And this is convenient if you have to carry on working and you need symptomatic relief here and now.
Yeah.
Then it's easier for your body to metabolize aromatherapy essential oils. That's one of the key factors for me of these ingredients, is they work quickly and they're out of your body quickly. They work locally and systemically. So once again, a lot of people can't take anti-inflammatories and painkillers. I do want to mention addiction, that I think that, the addiction has to conventional medicines was my original learning, I said, in that year. And I think it's an epidemic. And the converse or the treatment isn't to stop taking drugs. The converse or the treatment is to give people purpose or something else to use so that they learn different ways of operating than just using another anti-inflammatory. So we have topical products for neck tension. I think that's my favorite one. It's a roll-on for neck tension. If I can demonstrate that you can apply and massage at the same time with no messy hands while you're at the computer. So we've tried to make the products convenient for the new generation or an older person that can't take so many drugs to use a cream for arthritic pain. And why these ingredients versus conventional pharmaceutical ingredients, as I say, because they're natural, because they're in harmony with our body, they come from nature, and a little cures what a lot kills. Less is often better than more. And that's why I think formulated aromatherapy products are essential, because if you just tell somebody lavender helps you sleep, how much do they use? When do they use it? So it's much easier to have something, roll this on, and then have a good sleep.
Doryce, so give us some top tips for our women listeners on how they can look after their well-being better.
I would suggest that women understand that hormones affect our feelings. And aromatherapy is particularly helpful for premenstrual stress, for menopausal ups and downs, for mood swings, because as I say, they will work on different parts of the brain and inherently mainly the limbic system. And I think hormonal help, stress relief, rather than just taking something that numbs you or dumbs you, And I think in bringing up your children, you want to send them, as I suggested, to school with something natural to focus. There are oils that help you focus and concentrate. There are products we've got for headaches. So teach your children to think something other than just a pill. So don't forget, hugs are important. And this is almost like a mini little hug for yourself, because you are applying, you are nurturing, you are comforting. I always think when you pick up a baby that is crying, half of it is the comfort. And when you are applying oils to yourself or massaging, you are comforting yourself. So I think women need to self-comfort, or we all do, men as well, children, and to teach your children and your husbands and the men in your life to self-nurture. I think possibly these are products that can facilitate that self-nurturing.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. Teresa, what are your plans, your goals? What's coming up for you? What are the plans for the next years?
The next years are to grow the business so that there's larger uptake, to stand amongst pharmaceutical companies, for them to acknowledge, join hands, and let's help heal the world properly. And I feel that I'm hoping that big pharma understand this is not a threat to them. It would save face for them when they start venturing into different ways, using ingredients differently, where it's not all about profit, where it's all about helping people feel better. And so the vision is to grow it. And, I sometimes think, how long have I got in this business? I don't know. I'm 66 now, and maybe I will be in it for another 20 years or another 3, 5. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Doris, and I'm so thankful that you are really part of this revolution for people to self nurture, to learn how to do that, to learn to use simple products like aromatherapy to in their daily lives to make them feel better. I'm wondering, if you had a wand and you could just change one thing, what would that be?
For the world.
Well, in your world.
If I had a one to change one thing in my world, would be to alleviate suffering where it's not really necessary,
Mm,
where there could be love, nurturing care instead of hate and violence. I think if there was no gap between what they thought and what people said, and if people's anger was diminished, that
mm,
would be my wand. More love, less hate.
yeah, that's beautiful. Teresa, what are you most proud of to date?
I'm most proud that I've created a business that has employed people, that has has given people an opportunity to feel better. We have many loyal customers who tell me that it's been helpful to change the way they do things. It's influenced my family in a very positive way. Um, Self-reliance, honesty, integrity in what I do every day. I can be proud of what I've achieved, can leave a legacy. That's many things to your to your answer. I
Yeah,
mean, to your question.
which I love, Doris. I'm so thankful for this conversation. I cannot wait to get some of your products. And I'm so grateful that you are doing your part in making people feel better in a different way, away from conventional Western medicine, or in support of Western
In
medicine.
support of, alongside.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that that's very significant, because I don't think it should be an either or. I think that it should be a transition of other ways than just swallowing a pill.
yeah.
And yeah, I think that Yeah, that's alongside would be a good way. Synergy. I mean, the essential oils work synergistically. When you put a combination together, the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And that's some of the, when you put people together, there's more than the sum of its parts. So when you put the oils together and when you put Western and Eastern together, you've got more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, which I think is a beautiful way to end this conversation. Thank you, Doryce.
Thank you so much.